my name is John Ossipinsky. I am a lymphatic therapist. If you would have told me about, maybe close to 35 years ago that I'd be working with the lymphatic system, I would have laughed at you. I was a New York City fireman and a roofing contractor. We had a roofing business.
Wow.
So that would have been, I didn't even know about massage. I knew about chiropractic at that time. It's come a long way, and I understand information about the lymphatic system that everybody needs to understand. How many of you maintain your lymphatic system? How many of you know what your lymphatic system does?
I do know.
Okay. It's really, to me, a system that's meant to clean us. That's it. It's a sewage treatment system. And believe it or not, it's really missed in medicine. So I believe, and I'm on a mission more than work with people, right? I love working with people, and I see very sick people who have Lyme disease, cancer, heart disease, children with disabilities. I've had 4 autistic kids, including my own son who had severe Asperger's, who are no longer on the spectrum. I don't even see kids. I really see a lot of cancer and a lot of brain Lymes. I specialize in the brain. And you'll learn more about that as we go on. So the lymphatic system is really the body sewage treatment system. Even though we talk a lot about how it has to do with the immune system, and you hear them intermingle the two words, to me it's really a sewage treatment system that must clean your body. And if we maintain this system, because we don't, we could really change our health and life. So this is just a little medical disclaimer. If you have any health problems, please check with your healthcare practitioner, and never stop a medication without checking with your healthcare practitioner. So 12 years ago, I published a book, An Undetected Acid Alkaline Imbalance. And what drove me to write this book was I had learned from a doctor. I got bored when I got home after I retired from the fire department. I learned from this doctor who wrote a 460-page book on the lymph system in France. He won awards for his work. And he actually writes this book, how to feel lymph flow, how to move it in the organs, in the body, in the brain. And thousands of research papers, and the information is really missed in medicine, and you'll, even Dr. Oz comments on it, which we'll see a little bit later. So my book is really based on real science that's missed in medicine. And it's simple. We're filling with cellular waste. And you say, oh, is it our bowels? Or is it our stool that's filling us up? No, it's your own cellular waste. Your brain, your liver, your kidney, your arms, your blood vessels are replicating every second. They're always cleaning. So what happens to the dead cells? Well, they're supposed to be taken up. And because our lymphatic system is not working, and because it's not really thought about in medicine, you're going to see how, even though I wrote a book 12 years ago on how we're filling with cellular waste, just in the last few years, all new things are coming out, how we're filling with cellular waste. And this is the new science of health and longevity. This is just your superficial lymph system. Sorry, the battery isn't working well. But everything in the head has to flow down to your neck. We have major lymph drains right here in your neck. One vessel, a tiny vessel that may be as thin as the end of a pencil. And everything in the body basically flows up. In the superficial lymphatic system, everything goes either to the underarms or to the inguinal nodes. And that's why we have so many problems with the breast or with shoulders and arms. Because if the underarms and the inguinals, then the appendages near them get filled up with waste because nothing can clean. So we really have to think of a secondary system that is in our body that we have to think of every day. Because we get toxic every day, we get stress every day. In construction, we're around to different solvents, or if you're in a new car, you have some things that are toxic. So it's really about, and stress if you're married or in a relationship, you may have some stress there. So we really have to think about it every day. And I'm not about being perfect. Some people they're very good at eating just salads all day long, and they never drink wine, or, and I don't want to say, use it as a crutch, but I'm a retired fireman married into an Irish family, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't work for me, So I drink a lot less than I used to. I hardly drink, but I do eat, food that may not be good for me once in a while. But I've become very good at cleaning up, and that's my specialty, is how to clean up. And I do it on a regular basis rather than waiting till I get sick. So we all have a system between our blood vessels and veins that must clean us. And it's a one-way system that must move it all up to here. So everything in the head comes down, everything in the body comes up to here. And how many people get tight in your shoulders? How many people slouch in front of the computer sometimes? How many people slouch when you're watching TV or reading a book? As soon as you do that, you stop your lymphatic system. And then we wonder why our organs fill with cellular waste and fluid. Very good, she got it. She straightened right up. Normally I talk and everybody still slouches, you know. And another thing we're going to talk about is breathing. Every time you take a deep breath, and think about if you're stressed, if you're going over plans of a building or something and something's not working right, you don't even breathe, right, or your checkbook. When we take a deep breath, we move fluids through our veins, through our capillaries, and through our lymph system. But if we don't deep breathe, then it just sits there and it can get blockages and get stuck like log jams in a river. So we have to start thinking how every health problem, really in medicine, we just think of lymphedema. You ever know what lymphedema is? Lymphedema is when someone has cancer and they have nodes removed, or the cancer removed and they have to remove some nodes. Back in the day when I was a child, I remember a lot of my aunts had big arms hanging. And that's because they had cancer, they removed the nodes, then they weren't very sparing. Now they're very sparing. They go after the sentinel node and they watch what they do, so you don't see it as much. But I'm having more and more people who come to me say, John, I'm just, since a kid, I remember swelling my leg a little bit, and now I'm 50 and it's just, I can't control it. And I'm also hearing from a lot of people around the world who have lymphedema. And this is where they've never had surgery, but their body, their arms and their legs, their starch in their legs are just on a swell. And I see women who have heavy legs and arms who don't even know they have this. They've just been told they're heavy, even though their body is thin. So, but it's more than just swelling, it's every health problem, from diabetes, COPD, rosacea, colitis. I had many health problems before I learned of this, and I was working, I owned a medical clinic, a health clinic, and was getting massages and took supplements and worked on people's lymphatic system, but I still had a lot of health problems. So I had lifelong irritable bowel syndrome when I was a fireman it started, and it just was horrible. I was always running to the bathroom, anything I ate. Lactose intolerant, I couldn't have any ice cream. I'd have cramps in my stomach, any milk. Restless leg syndrome, I'd be sitting at night having a beer or some Pepsi and eating a bag of pretzels and wondering why my legs start to cramp up and start hurting me to where I'd want to break them. My hair was falling out, I had a big hole in my beard here, and my hair was just really it would be gone by now. And, sorry, I can't read that. And muscle spasms, my back would go out, I'd do a little yard work, and my back would go out, and I wouldn't be able to do anything. And that was a joke. I owned a massage therapy clinic, and my back was always going out. And I was always overweight. I was about 40 to 50 pounds overweight. My wife would send me to the firehouse with watermelon or a healthy diet, and of course I'd eat the bagels, you know. It's just what we do. But since I've learned of this, I've lost weight and kept it off. And I was having heart palpitations. I remember I had my therapy center. I was managing my parents' 3 Samurai Sams, and I had opened up 2 pizzerias. And I was having a little bit of stress in my life. And heart palpitations, I remember reading something about natural calm. I told my wife, you know, my heart's beating down my chest. What's this thing about natural calm? I just heard about it. And boom, that night my heart palpitations stopped. And I was nauseous for many years. And you know, nobody was able to tell me what it was, but they had medications for it. I remember telling my wife that I feel like I'm getting cancer. I just don't feel well all the time. You know, I'm always going to the bathroom, I just feel nauseous, and my hair was falling out, I was overweight, and I remember my hands wouldn't write checks. I had to write checks for the business or get somebody a beer, and glasses would fall out of my hands. So my nerves started, you know, not functioning right. I changed my diet to an alkaline diet, which my father was a butcher. We ate meat all the time when people didn't have meat. A vegetable to me was one vegetable a day and 1 fruit a day. And I ate pasta and a lot of Chinese food, or white rice. I changed to an alkaline diet. I took some alkalizing supplements, especially systemic enzymes, and we'll explain those a little more later. Remind me to if I don't. And I started to drain my own lymph more specifically. And it started to change. And in 3 weeks, I actually felt my brain go pop, a physical pop. It had released. And about 3 weeks, on the 4th week, I just started feeling better, you know. And all I did during that time was I didn't know to eat raw vegetables. My wife says, what do I feed you? You know, I don't know what to feed you. She would just cook a bunch of vegetables, just roast a bunch of vegetables, and I eat them morning, you know, and salads I'd eat, and some fruit. But it was amazing how quickly my life changed. So people call me Lymph Man because I work with the lymphatic system, and it really is my passion. My children used to tell me when I would take them to the park, and they still do it today, they're 17 and 19, you know, we go out to dinner, don't talk to anybody about the lymph system. But when they were kids, they would say, Dad, we're going to the park, don't talk to anybody about the lymph system. But I can't, because I honestly feel it's actually hurting us. So I retired from the New York City Fire Department in 1991. I got bored. I went to PTMC, which is no longer here. It's a year-long therapeutic massage college. And then I was fortunate to learn the work of 3 world-renowned doctors who use their hands to release restrictions in the body to make people well. 2 are from France, but they all teach here. But they're, at one time, were all under one umbrella, under the Upledger Institute. Now they've all separated into different groups. So I really learned about the body. Craniosacral therapy, many of you may have had that. It's for the brain and spinal cord. It's very relaxing. It really is for just to improve circulation very well. Visceral manipulation. The viscera are your organs. And when they get tight, I always wondered, why do we have to learn how to release them? Well, when we get acidic in our body, our organs get tight and they don't function. They don't get good circulation. So this doctor taught us how to release them. And then, wow, people don't have to get their appendix removed, don't have to get their spleens removed, and kind of things like that. And then most importantly was, again, Dr. Bruno Ciccoli, lymph drainage therapy. Changed my life, saved my family's health in many different ways. And understanding craniosacral therapy, and each of the doctors teaches about the brain and then about the lymph system, I really understand a lymph-brain connection that we all need to understand. We opened our center in 1995. I bounced around. We closed it after 13 years, so I just work by myself now up on Shea and Hayden. At that time, I became certified in lymphedema therapy and craniosacral therapy. So I took a lot of extra steps in my work. And then I had this doctor come to me, a Dr. Gray, which we'll hear about, and he said, "John, you're acidic." And I was like, "What? I'm acidic?" And, you know, I'm glad somebody laughed at that, thank you. Some people don't know about that. But, and I was bloated, my hair was falling out, and I learned that I was overly acidic. And then I developed work to remove acidity from the body. That's what my work does. Over a few sessions, people feel totally different. They feel more alive. If they're very sick and dying, I sort of stimulate their body. But most of my people come to me because it just makes them feel better, and they come because they want to extend their life, feel better. I published my book in 2006, and it really is science that is missed in medicine. I even wrote the government on the back of it, and you'll see that you know, they wrote me back. So I am committed to, you know, educating people about the lymph system. So we all have a sewage treatment system in our body that's meant to clean us of fluid. If somebody gets lymphedema, their arms can swell, 10 times the size. You'll see their legs, I have a picture, can get humongous. And fats, if you get fatty tumors, if you have fat in your blood, if you have a fatty liver, there's the lymph system that must take it. But we have a lot of waste in our body, even CO2, we don't think about it, but every time you breathe, you make CO2, and also every time your cells move in your body, and we have 100 trillion cells, they make CO2. So CO2 makes us acidic. This is in the back of the book. Dr. Oz says the lymphatics are the next frontier in discovery in human disease. This was written in the year 2000, long ignored. So he's saying that, you know, this system has been ignored. And I can tell you it still is ignored, and it will be for about 30 or 40 more years, even though a lot of science has come out about it. I even wrote the government in 2009 to say, hey, just want to say the lymph system is missed in medicine, we should do something about this. And I sent them research, copies of my book and other stuff, and in 2 weeks I got something back saying, yes, we agree with you that there's a clear need to understand the lymphatic system in health and disease. And she says we want, I wrote in 2009, and she said, yeah, we realized this in the year 2000. It was 10 years then, and it's been another 8 years, so it's not going to come out. So it really is important that we all not learn and become experts in the lymph system, but we have to understand it. Otherwise, we're really not helping ourselves as much as we can. So I mentioned Dr. Gray, he was a co-author of this book in 1999. At that time, they were saying, we need no fats, and they wrote a book saying, hey, come on, it's ridiculous, we need fats, and they were right. So he came to me, he was in his 70s, he had pneumonia, and he started telling me about pH, how in the 70s, naturopaths were studying this aggressively, and they were learning that when we get to a 7.2, wow, the body does much better, and they do that by diet. And then Nixon declared war on cancer, and he said overnight all food research just stopped and it went to drugs, because they said, hey, you got to research drugs, food ain't going to do it. But I can tell you it's really the opposite. That's why they still haven't found a cure for cancer, because it's not something you can cure with drugs.